Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, this is a channel about Dungeons and Dragons where we try and take a darker tone with everything we do here. So if you like edgier kind of content, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. A big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. What you do is absolutely amazing to help keep this channel going forward. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, the link is in the description, as well as a link to our good friends at Critical Failures, where we're part of a live stream game every Wednesday night. With that all out of the way, we're talking about the Oath of the Open Sea Paladin. The Oath of the Open Sea Paladin is a very interesting paladin. This came about from the Critical Role Campaign 2. This was Fjord's kind of character after being a Hexblade when he kind of changed his classes. This is a very cool take on kind of what the personality was, kind of like a story-driven class. So if you have seen Campaign Season 2, then you'll be a little bit more familiar with this. If not, I'm going to read the flavor text so you kind of get an idea of what we're talking about here. And it reads as follows. The Oath of the Open Sea calls to seafaring warriors, swashbuckling sailors, and traveling guardians who seek the thrill of a limitless horizon, driven to search for adventure and mystery across and beneath every endless oceanic expanse. Paladins who swear this oath stand against those who would deny liberty to the like-minded travelers, rooting out tyranny and corruption wherever it is found. Such guardians believe in the natural beauty of the seas, often making offerings and prayers to entities or deities such as the Wild Mother or the Storm Lord who influence safe passage. At the same time, they answer the call to hunt the monstrous creatures that too often bloody the waters with wanton violence and ill intent, which terrorize the folk of the sea and shore. So it's a very great introduction into a very heroic kind of a character. I feel like the Paladin really drives that heroism, that traditional goal-minded hero to protect really well. I think it's a great introduction to what this class is. And the tenets really don't fall short of that either. So the tenets of the open sea are no greater life than a life lived free. One should be free to chart their own path without oppression. Those who would exert their power to dominate others shall be smote. The other one is trust the skies. The guidance of a strong breeze, the rumbling warnings of a coming storm. Nature is a source of portent and counsel that should be heeded. Adapt like the water. The waters of the ocean can shift around any obstacle and become an impassable one. They can carve around and reveal the secrets of the past or swallow the truth and hide it forever. Embrace this fluidity. It is to be ready for any challenge. Explore the uncharted. The world is filled with much mystery. Through the pursuit of these enigmatic ends, one can both uncover those who hide their dark deeds in shadow to be judged and find the path to becoming something great. It's really that kind of pirate good guy. It's really that like seafaring soldier. If you're a big fan of like the in the time of pirates, you don't necessarily have to be a pirate, but you can still be a good guy. You can still fight along those lines of just being someone who stops piracy in order to trade the boom. So I do want to note that you do get a couple of oath spells that are really unique. You get Misty Step, which is wild for a paladin. That's a great gap closer, and it's a bonus action which you really don't use as often while being a paladin. You gain Augury, which is interesting because it is a ritual spell, but it's a divination spell, which gives you a really great contrast to what a normal paladin would be. Of course, you get Create or Destroy Water. You also get Call Lightning, Control Water, Freedom of Movement, Commune with Nature. Like, it's very unique how it really kind of leans in with your spells, this opportunity to be more of an adventurer and really be that person who's uncovering secrets or finding that path through these treacherous times. Which is something to note. Usually I really don't dive too much into paladin spells, but I think taking a look at them really helps to give your paladin a little more than just a smite robotic kind of playstyle and really give you a more individual feel depending on what oath you do pick. So it's worth at least looking at to help devise your character. When you take this oath at 3rd level, you gain the following 2 channel divinity options. Marine Layer. As an action, you channel the sea to create a thick cloud of fog that surrounds you for 20 feet in all directions. The fog moves with you, remaining centered on you and making its area heavily obscured. You and each creature within 5 feet of you instead treat the area as lightly obscured. This fog lasts for 10 minutes, it spreads around corners, and it cannot be dispersed unless you choose to end the effect. The second one is Fury of the Tides. As a bonus action, you channel the powerful might of the waves to bolster your attacks for 1 minute. Once per turn for the duration, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can choose to push the target 10 feet away from you. If pushed into an obstacle or another creature, that creature takes bludgeoning damage equal to your charisma modifier. So understand, these two have very, very different purposes. Fury of the Tides is cool for circumstances where you can navigate slamming a character into a wall, into an other enemy, or continuously doing that. There is no save, and you gain bludgeoning damage equal to your charisma modifier. Depending on how you want to build your paladin, that would greater or lesser affect it, but you do want charisma to back up your spellcasting, especially with your auras and everything that you get later on. And you're a paladin. You're supposed to be charismatic. You're supposed to be that like hero that like walks through town and everyone goes, "Oh my god, it's a paladin." Like, you're supposed to have that kind of a feel. So charisma shouldn't be just tossed to the side. Marine Layer is really unique because paladins fall short in ranged offensive. It's a very big issue for paladins. Their smites are melee, all their attacks are melee. They don't really have a lot of long range weapons that really do anything, and you can't currently smite at long range. You may be in 2024 when it comes out. Officially you can, but at this moment, ranged warfare is not your bag. This makes you impervious to ranged attacks because they cannot see you through heavily obscured fog. So you cannot be seen, you cannot be targeted with that stuff because you have to see the target. They can't differentiate you from anything else that's in there. It's great because inside of it you can still act normally and see pretty well as long as you're close enough to the target because they're only lightly obscured. This gives you the opportunity to take on pushing the line when there's a lot of ranged combatants, and being, especially if you're in a heavy melee party, this is great for pushing you forward to them and being able to avoid unnecessary attacks and damage that could really whittle away at you and your party. It is defensively stronger than it is offensively stronger. It's a great strategic ability. Fury of the Tides also shares that strong offense, and it's a great strategic ability, but they both come in situations where you need the right environment. If you're fighting all melee characters, Marine Layer does nothing for you. If you're fighting in an open field where there's not a lot of stuff or not a lot of enemies close enough to each other, Fury of the Tides does not help you at all. So take that into consideration. It does give you cool options, but it doesn't give you a standard option for every circumstance. But I like that creative thinking because you might rely on other people to create stuff, put up walls, someone use mold earth or something, and then bang, you can keep throwing them into that. It does get creative and does give you this opportunity to lean into relying on your party members to help get the most out of this circumstance. At 7th level, you gain Aura of Liberation. You fill nearby creatures with the energy of movement. While you're not incapacitated, you and creatures of your choice within 10 feet of you cannot be grappled or restrained and ignore penalties on movement and attacks while underwater. Creatures that are already grappled or restrained when they enter the aura can spend 5 feet of movement to automatically escape unless they are bound by magical restraints. When you reach 18th level in this class, this aura affects creatures within 30 feet of you. Now, understand, This is always on. This is a unique passive that gets better at higher levels. When you start fighting monsters that grapple you on attack or that restrain you on attack, that stuff really benefits you. It does help your party get out of those bad situations, because spending that 5 feet of movement as opposed to sending an action to try and break out makes a huge difference in a DPS race or a DPR race. When you're trying to whittle down a strong opponent that can hit you and restrain you, that stuff is deadly to your heavy melee combatants. Breaking that for 5 feet of movement is a blessing. This is actually a very strong defensive thing. I know it doesn't sound like it, because at 7th level you're really not encountering a lot of restraining mechanics and maybe some grappling mechanics, but not a traditional large amount of them. But that is a very strong defensive ability when you do get to those higher levels, when those things are more common. The thing you have to be careful is the magic restraints. I don't know if that necessarily means web or spells like that would restrain you, or if it's just magical monocles or handcuffs or things like that. So definitely talk to your DM and make sure you're on the same point with that. But I figured it would count for any spells, maybe, because that, again, is still a strong thing, but still not groundbreaking, because a lot of these restraining abilities come from monsters you fight pretty regularly. At 15th level, you gain Stormy Waters. You can call upon the force of crashing waters as a reaction whenever a creature moves into or out of your reach. The creature takes 1d12 bludgeoning damage and must succeed on a strength saving throw against your spell save DC or be knocked prone. This is awesome. It is absolutely great. There's no limit on how many times you can use it. It is on constantly. Now, at 15th level, 1d12, not a huge amount of damage, but you have to consider it in the context of what exactly is happening. If an enemy wastes half their movement to get to you, or all their movement, let's do all their movement first. If they move all the way to you and then you knock them prone, they have disadvantage on any melee attacks that they make against you. If they do at least 5 more movement than half of their total movement, so if their movement is 30 and they happen to move 20 to get to you, and you knock them prone, they do not have the movement to get up. If they are leaving you to chase another player or character or whatever it is, or maybe just escape, if you knock them prone, they have lost half their movement if they get up and try to root away. It's great for the prone ability, because say it runs up to you, gets knocked prone, and then you get to attack right after. You now have advantage on those attacks. You and all the other melees that are surrounding you have advantage on those melee attacks. It is based on your spell save DC. Depending on how much charisma you invest in your character, would depict how easy or how difficult it is to escape this, but you will be able to use this frequently. I would probably use this as opposed to my opportunity strike at least like 90% of the time, because it's worth it to try and stop them. We give them a disadvantage on the next attack. The extra damage is great, but at 15th level, 1d12 isn't groundbreaking, but it is enough to cause disruption and give you an advantage and your party an opportunity to do something great, or to increase their chances of winning against this enemy or putting an enemy down. The final ability you get at 20th level is Mythic Swashbuckler. You learn to channel the spirits of historic sea captains to briefly become a paragon of heroic adventure. As an action, you embrace these spirits of the sea to gain the following benefits for 1 minute. You have advantage on the strength athletic checks, and you gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed. If you already have a climbing speed, it is double. If you are within 5 feet of a creature and no other creature are within 5 feet of you, you have advantage on attack rolls against that creature. You can take the dash action or disengage action as a bonus action, and you have advantage on dexterity checks and dexterity saving throws against effects you can see. Once you use this feature, you cannot use it again until you finish a long rest. I think it's great that it incorporates so much of what the swashbuckler rogue is, because you, as opposed to just guaranteeing sneak attack, you're guaranteeing advantage if you're one-on-one someone, or if you're in a situation where you're fighting someone and no one else is within 5 feet of you. That does still give you advantage. It could be within 5 feet of the creature, it just can't be in 5 feet of you. So positioning is really important, but a constant level of advantage on a paladin is deadly. You do also have advantage on strength checks, so if you try to grapple someone, shove them prone, do things like that, that is a big bonus to you. You should have strength. You are a paladin. It kind of goes hand in hand, though you can go dexterity if you wanted to. The climbing speed is interesting because it depends on the kind of the circumstance you're in and how you're doing this. But it's good to at least have something you don't have to worry about as an add-on to advantage on strength checks. The dash and disengage as a bonus action, phenomenal. When you drop someone and it's a big distance for you to get to someone else and you still have that last attack, absolutely take that dash as a bonus action, cover the distance, and make that extra attack, because that stuff matters. Also, with Stormy Waters, when a creature moves into or out of your reach, you can use it as a reaction. So you can run up to someone, they fall into the category that would make them into your reach, so you can pop Stormy Waters if you wanted to do that then, and then try and make your attack. Again, depending on your circumstance, you would have advantage if it was just one person, but if not, you might drop them prone and still give yourself advantage and other people who are around them advantage as well. Powerful ability. Again, it's a level 20 ability, and some paladins are hit or miss with that, but this is pretty good, all things considered. Plus, you can also tack on your Fury of the Tides and definitely try and get that extra charisma modifier damage based on whatever it is you're doing, or whatever the circumstance is in which the arena of your combat is taking place. One of the things about this paladin that I always, or most paladins when I see that, is how do I turn this into a more evil or chaotic entity than just a goody-goody that's trying to save everyone from being, oppressed. And I think a lot about Davy Jones from the Pirates movies as a great inspiration. Like, you could be like a Simic hybrid and look all weird and crazy and whatever, and really fit that goal, which would make a great Oath of the Open Sea Paladin anyway. But the trick to manipulating tenets and moralities is understanding that you might act like a tyrant, but if your tyranny is forcing everyone to be free, you can kind of manipulate the circumstances. You can see people working on a ship and decide that, look, you guys have been forced into this, and by destroying your leaders, I'm giving you this opportunity to join my crew and sail the seas and have this thrilling adventure and be here and find out truths about yourself you could never see anywhere else. And kind of looks like, unbeknownst to them, manipulate them into thinking you're their savior when you're really not. And I love that idea. That really entices me. And I mean, as far as the base paladin is concerned, you have everything you need to be strong and to be durable and to make your way through the game without any issues whatsoever, basically the whole time. The paladin is very well designed. But you throw this in and sprinkle a little bit of manipulation, and you have a very interesting idea. Because you could be trying to build your own pirate empire. You could be building your own trade empire. And this is your manner of doing so, and you don't mind getting a little dirty while doing it. And I love that. And it gives me that idea, and I can just taste it. It's like right there for the taking. If you made it this far into the video, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. A big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. What you do for us is amazing. And a big thank you to our good friends at Critical Failures, where we're part of a live stream game Wednesday nights. If you're interested in either one of those, check out the links in the description. They'll lead you right to there. And thank you for giving a spooky kid a chance.